moving along, I'm sure you guys noticed that James Franklin was given a pretty healthy extension and upgrade from about $5.5 million to what's going to be about 6.3 over the length of the contract. The focus goes to Michigan and what they are accomplishing or fail to do so each and every year. But Penn State has pretty much been in the same ballpark. Obviously, they're coming from a different place in regards to what Bill O'Brien had to take them through 7 or 8 years ago. James Franklin, people may forget that mid-2016, before beating the Buckeyes at home, at one point they were 3-2 that season, had been blown out by Michigan, lost to Pitt, and he was coming off 2 7-6 seasons, and at 3-2, things weren't looking so great for him. They go to the Rose Bowl, win the Big Ten championship, and now they've won 11 games 3 of the past 4 years, and some major bowl games as well. So your thoughts, Kevin, about the job James Franklin's doing at Penn State?
Well, I mean, one difference between him and Jim Harbaugh is James Franklin's found Indianapolis before. And, I say that kind of tongue-in-cheek, but it's true as well. I mean, they've at least been able to get to the Big Ten championship game, not having to sit there and have a participant trophy in terms of, well, we won, we were a co-champion of our division, set up, whatever. James Franklin's name had been mentioned for other jobs, USC, whatnot. So generally when that happens, you're going to get a raise. I don't know if they're going to ever be able to really get up the hump there or get over the hump. I tend to think no, but based on what's out there at this point, I understand why they gave him the raise, but we shall see. We shall see what comes out of that. And when we get into the back 3 years of Ryan Day's new contract, where the numbers are to be determined, I guarantee you Ryan Day's numbers will be higher than James Franklin's numbers.
Is getting over the hump, beating Ohio State and winning the division more often than not? Is that getting over the hump?
I mean, I think that, he had his whole diatribe about being an elite team, and they haven't been able to accomplish a lot of those missions. It's going to be interesting in 2020 as Ohio State goes in with 6 games under its belt, having to go to Penn State, and I guarantee you it's going to be a whiteout, and it's going to be all of that going on and so forth. But they haven't been able to string together enough of those 11-1 types of seasons. They win the games they're supposed to win. And then in the games that they're not supposed to win, I mean, they win a couple of them, but they're certainly not winning enough to necessarily to where I would sit there and say a coach is, worth, $6.5 million. But, more power to James Franklin if he can cash those checks. If they want to send one my way, I'll give you my PayPal address.
And you hear James Franklin's name every year in terms of other schools or, the NFL, or you just hear his name mentioned. And I think that this is one way to keep that from happening. Being a Big Ten school, you can pay to keep your coach. Like every single school could pay to keep their coach because of the network money that they make. And I think this is a preemptive strike against anybody trying to come and take James Franklin, because things are getting better. You mentioned, Mark, the rough starts early on, and now you kind of expect they are the number 2 program in the Big Ten East. Although when you ask what is getting over that hump, it's can you do what Mark D'Antonio did at Michigan State? When you compare yourself to Ohio State, can you beat Ohio State? He did that. Now you have to do more than that, or when that stops happening, you still have to do your 10 or 11 wins. D'Antonio kind of forgot about that, and the program kind of went south from there. But Penn State has different standards than Michigan State, so they view themselves as an Ohio State. But, I think you've got to have conference titles, you've got to have playoff appearances, or I don't think anybody's going to consistently get over the Ohio State hump. What is enough? Once or twice every 5 years, I think that's pretty fair. And, I don't think you could complain about, 2 years out of 5 years beating Ohio State, getting to winning Big Ten title, getting to the playoffs. I think anybody in the Big Ten East would take that, especially Michigan.
Clemson fans having fun in the live chat right now. Poster out was open, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
We talk Ohio State football every week. We don't have a specific time, so this is what you need to do. Subscribe to the channel. I send out the notification as soon as we're able to figure out a time and a date each and every week. And then you turn on the bell and you get the notification on when we will come live that particular week.